to present their local Water Done Well presentation. Welcome.
Right. Start. If you feel free to
Magandang
start.
hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to hear the submission of the Waipuna, Halswell, Hornby, Ricc Community Board on the proposed model for the delivery of water services. The board strongly supports Council's proposal for an in-house delivery model for water services. We understand that under this model, Council retains full control over water services and would continue to manage and deliver water supply, wastewater, and stormwater services directly through, although there would be changes made to meet new regulatory requirements. Both council-controlled organization models, the 3-water CCO and 2-water CCO, are opposed by the board and views that a model separating out stormwater would not work in a disaster. Now, Helen will provide more detail about concerns she would like to raise on behalf of the board, although the board understands the need for caution in relying on unconfirmed information or media reports only. I pass on to Helen.
Thank you. I just want to talk about the risks of going to a CCO. So, fully supportive of the board's position as it relates to council. You're doing the right thing. But I wanted to express some of the risks of CCOs. I had direct experience a long time ago as chair of finance in the earthquake years at being able, I have concerns where it was difficult to get changes from CCOs. Now, you've probably had your own experience this year on CCHL issues, but that's the sort of trouble we had at times with CCOs. Wellington Water, as you've probably all seen, has caused a lot of problems for their council. And there was a news article on the 3rd of Saturday, 29th of March, and I got something from Radio New Zealand on the 3rd of March, quite a long article, which I'm happy to in fact table. And if I can just go over what I think the issues are for Wellington CCO and the council. The CCO has contracted a limited range of contractors, and that has pushed up prices. They've got a graph which shows how Wellington compares to Christchurch, and Wellington is much higher. Weak financial systems, and they didn't even have a computer system that worked, and they were using a contractor's computer system. Lack of transparency, questions marks about the consultant spend, and seem to have more expensive than other councils, and weak financial systems, which ended up in fraud. Now, that can happen in any organisation, but it does show that at the Wellington CCO wasn't being managed well. And recently in the paper, it states that the Wellington Council seemed unable to attain the resignation of the chairperson of the Wellington CCO. I find that extraordinary, but that's what's recorded. So the end result is the Commerce Commission is coming to manage and monitor the Wellington Water CCO. So I believe you're being much more prudent and careful in your response to keep the water services in council. And I do want to just add a note that if a CCO was established, it can set its own rating. So you're going to get a rating system that you haven't got control over. So that's all from me, and back to Marie.
So we thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board submission, and we look forward to continued collaboration to ensure that our community's needs are met in a sustainable and balanced manner. Thank you.
Good on you. Thank you. Question, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. When Three Waters raised its head, the Te Mata Arawai and the government used Scottish water as the perfect example, although never gave any issues or problems with it. Why is it you think that Te Mata Arawai have never mentioned Wellington water as an example of what not to do?
Well, it's the one I've seen in the media. There could be others.
Yeah, but the government hasn't been laying that on perhaps as something not to do, so I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
No, I'm sorry. I can't answer that. Sorry.
Tyler?
Kia ora, Marie and Helen.
Thank you.
Helen, this is probably for you, but in your experience in governance, do you see any pros and cons with, one, the in-house model, and two, the CCOs, and what you think the governance differences would be between the two?
I'm sorry, I haven't picked up the question. I'm sorry.
So there in the submissions, there's been talks on differences between governance structures where we have full control over the water.
Yes.
But in terms of the delivery of that water program from back in your day to now, do you feel like we're doing our job? That's the first question.
Yes, I mean, I think in a way, from what I read in the media, you're actually doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I mean, you weren't perhaps a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, but you certainly seem to have tightened up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that line is. But,
No, that's good. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
The next one is around the CCO model. Do you see any benefits from going into that CCO model at all?
No. No. However, I did say to Mark coming in, I think you start with this model.
Yeah.
And then in 3 years' time, if you look at what other councils are doing with a CCO model, there may be reasons to go at that time. But I would tend to think they're all going to be a bit flaky, actually.
Great. That's the governance answer I was trying to get. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to go. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming in. Good to see you. Okay, so Ross and David, up there somewhere, please.